In the late September of 2003, Universal Pictures brought director Peter Berg's action comedy The Rundown to American cinema screens, and although the film underperformed slightly at the box office, it received generally positive critical reviews. The Rundown was released in the United States with a PG-13 rating for
adventure violence and some crude dialogue.
It was later submitted to the BBFC for a theatrical classification, but the subsequent release of the film in Britain was not as straightforward as it had been in North American territories, and in this month's edition of Cutting Edge, we'll be examining the two versions of The Rundown that have been released in the UK. At this point, it is worth pointing out that The Rundown was the title that accompanied the film in the United States, but internationally, the film was released in English-speaking countries under the film's working title of Welcome to the Jungle. Both of these titles will be used interchangeably throughout the following episode of the show. The Rundown was first submitted to the BBFC in its PG-13 form in 2003, and on the face of it, the submitting company, Columbia TriStar Films, did not request a specific rating, since the BBFC later passed the film uncut with a 15 on February 2, 2004, noting that the film contains moderate action violence. However, Columbia TriStar elected to opt for a lower rating immediately after this decision was taken, and the film was resubmitted with a request for a 12A rating. Naturally, cuts had to be made, and following the removal of 91 seconds worth of violent material, The Rundown was classified 12A under its international title of Welcome to the Jungle 2 days later, with the BBFC once again noting that the film contains moderate action violence. Curiously, the BBFC's annual report for 2003 does not mention their classification of the 12A version, although it does make reference to their passing the film uncut with a 15 rating, along with a vague reference to films being generally cut for a 12A classification.
A rare example of a film submitted last year that met the criteria of the old-style action movie was The Rundown, which sought to make a new old-style action hero of the wrestler known as The Rock. It was not, however, so violent as to require BBFC intervention at the 15 rating level. It did suggest that there is plenty of potential still for new Schwarzeneggers and Van Dammes. In the meantime, it is evident that violence has, if anything, been toned down in order to achieve the more profitable American PG-13 rating or the UK 12A rating.
Given the nature of The Rundown, the cuts for 12A were rather extensive, with various cuts made in 5 of the film's reels. The first change occurs during a fight scene early in the film in Reel 1, where Beck, played by The Rock, fights an enemy in a nightclub. The uncut version contains the following material. For this scene, the BBFC stated, "During fight sequence in nightclub, remove brief shot of Beck delivering knee blow to assailant's face," with the cut UK cinema version playing as follows. Two more cuts occur in Reel 2, the first of which concerns the brief lashing of one of Hatcher's miners. The uncut version plays as follows.
Down 20%.
Ei, cara, isso não tá certo não. Não foi o que a gente combinou. Fora! Ladrão!
For the UK version, the BBFC stipulated, "During mining town scene, remove big close-up shot of man's lacerated knuckles after being lashed."
Down 20%.
Ei, cara, isso não tá certo não. Não foi o que a gente combinou. Fora! Ladrão!
The second cut in Reel 2 occurs when Beck first confronts Travis, played by Sean William Scott, and the pair briefly tussle in a bar. Again, the uncut version plays as follows.
Travis, there is no option C.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure? I mean, big boy. There's always an option C.
For the UK version, the BBFC stated, "During confrontation between Travis and Beck in barroom, remove shot of Travis headbutting Beck."
I mean, big boy. There's always an option C.
Further cuts were made in the bar scene when Hatcher, played by Christopher Walken, arrives at the bar with his right-hand man Harvey and a group of henchmen who become involved in a fight with Beck. The uncut material in the fight scene plays as follows.
You're gonna kill us all, Mr. Beck.
The BBFC cuts required for the UK cinema version demanded, "After second blow to bald-headed thug, remove all subsequent close-up shots of pistol being forced into and held in thug's mouth. Unfocused or long shots may remain. In same sequence, remove final two-footed chest kick to thug." These cuts are particularly jarring in the cut version, especially with regards to the chest kick at the end of the fight, with the UK cinema version playing something like this.
You're gonna kill us all, Mr. Beck.
Beck is later involved in a lengthy fight with some local rebels in the film's third reel. For clarity, we have edited out some redundant footage in the following comparison, but the key material plays as follows in the uncut version.
Don't do it.
Eu vou quebrar tua cara!
What is that? It's like spinning Tarzan jiu-jitsu.
Speedy little bastards, aren't they? It's gotta stay up.
I am not your enemy.
The majority of the film's cuts occur in this sequence alone, with almost 60 seconds of footage having been removed. For the 12A version, the BBFC demanded During fight sequence in rebel encampment between Beck and various rebel assailants, remove sight of assailant running up Beck's body and delivering chest kick. Also reduce sequence of kicks. Continuing from above scene, the following sequence in which Beck and assailants are struck with lit or unlit wooden staves and Beck is attacked by assailant with knife must be removed entirely. The affected material in the cut version plays as follows.
Don't do it.
Eu vou quebrar tua cara!
What is that? It's like spinning Tarzan jiu-jitsu.
Speedy little bastards, aren't they? It's gotta stay up.
I am not your enemy.
Further cuts were made by the BBFC in reel 5 of the film, as Beck and Travis mount an attack on Hatcher's men. The first affected sequence features Beck striking various enemies with shotguns, which plays as follows in the uncut version.
Very bloody time, eh?
Somebody just shoot him.
For the UK cinema version, the BBFC stated, "Remove sight of Beck wielding 2 shotguns and striking soldier on either side of head with the butt of each weapon. In same sequence, remove sight of soldier being struck full in the face with shotgun butt, and remove medium close-up shot of Beck striking another soldier in face with shotgun butt." With the cut version playing thus.
Very bloody time, eh?
Somebody just shoot him.
The next change occurs a few minutes later, during a fight scene in a store. Again, the uncut version plays as follows. For the 12A version, the BBFC demanded, in scene featuring Travis fighting Scruffy Thug inside store, remove close-up shot of Travis' thumbs pressing into opponent's eyeballs. The next affected scene in the UK cinema version concerns the sequence that shows Hatcher's men firing upon Travis as he takes cover. The uncut version contains the following material.
To that good night, my lovely. Reach! Reach! Against the dying of the light. There shall be no mercy for any force that stands blocking this path of his righteousness.
A large amount of cuts were made for the 12A version, with the BBFC cuts list stating, "During sequence involving heavy weapon fire, remove all close-up shots which appear to glamorize weapons and intensify the violence by focusing on weapon barrels, muzzles, magazines, ammunition, ammo being ejected from weapon breeches, and weapons being pointed directly to camera." The edits that were made were numerous, but the material amounts to only a few seconds of film in total, with some cuts removing mere frames from the action. However, the stylistic effect intended by director Peter Berg is hugely diluted in the cut version, as this clip demonstrates.
Do not go gentle into that good night, my lovely. Reach! Reach! Against the dying of the light. There shall be no mercy. For any force that stands, blocking this path of his righteousness.
The final changes made to the film occur in Reel 6, as Beck faces off against the last of Hatch's men in a brutal fight. The uncut version of the scene plays thus. For the UK cinema version, the BBFC demanded, "During final fight sequence in which Beck is confronted by 3 thugs armed with bullwhips, reduce intensity and brutalising elements of the fight by removing sight of Beck being struck by lash, Beck receiving high kick, Beck receiving swing kick to head, Beck being lashed around the neck, long shot of Beck grabbing Thug's leg, bending and then breaking it, to include removal of sound of breaking bones." As a result of these cuts, the UK cinema version played something like this. Sometime after The Rundown was released into UK theatres under the title of Welcome to the Jungle with a 12A rating, the film was resubmitted for a DVD classification later in 2004. That year, the BBFC had introduced its Different Versions at Different Categories policy, which legally allowed an uncut version of a film to be released with a higher rating if a previously censored version had been released with a lower rating. Columbia TriStar submitted the PG-13 version of the film to the BBFC, and it was passed uncut with a 15 rating on April 13, 2004 for strong action violence. In the UK, the film was marketed on DVD as the director's extended version, even though it was not a true director's cut and simply the uncut international version of the film that had been released in countries such as the United States. DVD reviews at the time indicated that the initial UK DVD release contained a faulty 5.1 audio track. The Australian Region 4 disc, which was also encoded for Region 2 playback, was unaffected by this issue. Welcome to the Jungle was later released on Blu-ray in the United Kingdom in 2008, and the film once again sported a 15 rating. However, what the packaging does not indicate is that the version of the film contained on the disc is the cut 12A cinema version, despite the fact that this version of the film has not been officially classified for a home video release. Therefore, the UK Blu-ray release should be avoided by fans of the film seeking an uncut version. Instead, British buyers can import the American Blu-ray disc, which is fully uncut and region-free, and will play on all UK Blu-ray players without restriction.
It has always been the privilege of the few to hunt the many.
Woodrow.
Now he's cornered and outnumbered 20 to 1.
Hunting season is over.